Hi guys, this is a spreadsheet that's really going to help you automate being able to tally things that you pay every month, like electricity or your car payment, your Netflix account. And what this sheet is going to do is, rather than manually typing in this information every single month and having to update it, we're going to have Excel do it for us. You can actually program Excel just like a programmer working with code. You can actually use functions that are built in to this application to make your life a lot easier and automate these things. I'm going to show you how to do that today. Part of managing money is making it as easy as possible, and we can do that for us with some very simple functions in Excel. I'm going to show you what that is today. Okay, in order to set this up, if you're a little unsure, you can just follow along and do exactly what I'm doing now. And you can also download this spreadsheet from my website, or you can pause the video and copy what I'm doing. You don't have to necessarily understand all the explanations that I'm giving and how the functions work. At the end of the day, if you make this thing work the way I'm showing you it should work, you're winning. But it is important to understand how it is set up so you can interact with it. You have to kind of pay attention to the fact that there are certain formulas in these cells and you don't want to disturb them so it continues to work. I can show you how to do that. It's not a big deal. All right, let's get started. So in F, G, and H, those columns specifically for now, as in F, G, and H, put day due, vendor, and monthly bills. And this is going to be the monthly day that each bill is due. So for electric, it's due on the 1st, car is due on the 1st, internet's due on the 4th, and so forth. Your vendor, I suggest putting something more specific than just electric. You may want to put B, G, and E. And maybe you want to even put your account number in there. That would be fine too. It's nice to have on hand. You never know when you might need it. And then in H, you're going to put how much you pay per month. And the reason why, if you're not familiar with this, the reason why these numbers are in parentheses is because it's a special format. So if you go into format, and if you go into number, and this menu option's a little bit different in Microsoft Excel, but you can get around. It does have a format tab, and under that you will see similar options. But as you can see, I've chosen this option called financial. And that means that anything that is in parentheses is going to be a negative number, something I'm subtracting. You don't have to do this. You can opt out of that and just put your values as like positive numbers. If you want to do it like this, you can. No problem. Up to you, however you want to do it. All right, so I've selected a particular format for that because I like to see that things that I'm paying are negative numbers. They're outflowing numbers, and so that's how I like to visualize them, see them on the paper. Okay, so you're going to enter your monthly bills. Now, I know it can be a chore to figure out what the heck you actually pay. Sometimes it's hard to find out. If you have a hard time analyzing that kind of information in your bank statements, please go to my video about downloading and summarizing your bank statements, and I will show you how to get that information from your bank account, put them in a spreadsheet like this, and easily summarize what your monthly bills are with very little effort. You can literally do it in seconds. Okay, supposing that you've already done something like that, you have your due dates, your vendors, and your monthly bills sorted out. Now we're going to go to the left side of this sheet. We're not going to pay attention to column E yet. That's going to be last. Okay, in A, B, and C, I want you to enter under A1, pay period. And in B1, I want you to the first day of your pay period, the first day you get paid in that period of time. When do you get your paycheck? That's the day you want to put here. And you're going to enter that date using the built-in function called date. So you type an =, date, and then enter the year, the month, and the day. And then in C, you're going to enter the last day of your pay period. That's the day before you get paid again. =, date, year, month, day. So go ahead and do those three things just like that. The reason why we're doing it this way is because when we use a function, instead of just manually typing in the date, that's going to allow us to do calculations in column E and A3 that are going to automate this whole thing. So we're starting here. Great job. You're doing great. Now let's go to the next row. So in this cell is when you would enter how much you got paid. So every time you get paid, you're going to come back to the sheet, and if that slightly changes from one paycheck to the next, you're going to enter that value afresh. And let's label it paycheck. So right next to it, put paycheck. Then below paycheck, bills due this pay period. That's what this value is going to be. And this is where Excel is going to calculate for us which bills are due this pay period. And it's going to add those up, and then it's going to subtract it from our paycheck to give us our discretionary. So in the row below that, enter the word discretionary. Okay, now we're going to get into some of the built-in stuff with Excel. So how are we going to tell it to count up the bills that just fall in this pay period? No more than that. So we have more bills here. If you notice on the right-hand side, we have more bills here than fall between January 23rd and February 6th. So we don't want to know what all those bills add up to be. We just want the bills that fall between this date range. And this function here, the equals sum ifs, that is the function that's going to tell Excel to do that. Here's the logic. Here, let me explain this function to you in normal everyday English. What this means is I want you to add up some numbers. So you have to tell it which numbers to add up. So in this, if you notice when I click on this, it highlights H. So you know that's what I'm talking. That's the column I'm talking about. If I had more bills in this, and this ran to like H20, then I would say H1 colon H20. It represents the range, how many rows in that column I wanted to pay attention to. All right, so I want you to add up this certain values in this column, and how to know which certain values there are. These are the conditions. If any of these dates in E1 to E11 are, quote, greater than or equal to B1, remember what B1 was? It is the first day of our pay period. So if it's greater than that, so if it's the 24th, 25th, 26th, that's what greater than January 23rd would be. If it's greater than that, and also in E1 to E11, if any of those dates are less than the last day in our pay period. So anything that's like February 5th, February 4th, February 3rd, and so forth. So now you have this range. It's like you're looking at a calendar from January 23rd to February 6th, any dates in there. If it aligns to any of the dates in here, I want you to just add the numbers that correspond to those dates. The next thing you're going to program is calculating your discretionary. So we want this to happen automatically too. You would type equals, and you're going to type A2 because that's your paycheck cell. And I'm putting a plus here. Why do I do that? Because A3 is already a negative number. So I don't want to subtract a negative number that would give me a positive. I know it's confusing. You have to go all the way back to algebra to like figure this out again. Again, you don't have to use the parentheses and deal with negative numbers if you don't feel comfortable with that. I'm just explaining to you why it looks like an addition equation right now when I'm actually subtracting. But that's what this is doing. It's taking $2,000, it's subtracting $1,647.09, and $352.91 is what I have left over. Whether you use the ones with parentheses or whether you don't, make sure these things are being subtracted in this cell. You want to do it using like a formula style where you're referencing the cells and not hard coding that in. So now we've got our first formula set up, we got our second formula set up, we've got some functions working in here, and now it's time to go on to column E. Right, here's where some of the real magic happens. So if you notice, B1 and C1, this is actually crossing from one month to the next month. And that's kind of special. We're going to tell Excel to automatically detect when a date is not only out of range, but also when a date has already passed and it's before the first date of our pay period, we want it to go ahead and automatically update to the next month. Because there's no bills that's going to happen. But for the rest of 2025, there's no other bills that are going to happen in the beginning of January. So go ahead and advance that already to February. So this is how we're going to program it to do that. So right now, your column E should be blank. If it's not, make sure it's blank. Go in there and delete that stuff. Okay, now what we're going to do is start with an equal sign and an if. Now let me break this down to you and explain it to you in English before you program it out so you understand what's going on. So we're telling Excel if F2 is less than the day in B1. So the day in B1 is the 23rd. So if 1 is less than 23, this is what I want you to do. The date I want you to put in there is today's year, today's month plus 1. So if the date, today's month is January, I want you to go to February. That's the plus 1. So it goes from 1 to 2. And then the day will be F2. And then this last statement here is as if that's not true. So if this condition is true, do this date. Give me this date. And if it's not true, give me this date, which would be this month. It wouldn't advance to the next month. So that is what all that is telling you. So go ahead and start typing that in. Hopefully you have your day due in here. Even if you want to just you don't have to do your real bills, just do these example bills here. Get a feel for how this thing works. And it's okay. You can build it, mess around with it, mess it up, start over again. The more you do it, the more you're going to understand how it works. All right, so now that you got the formula in just E2, now you can take your this little circle thing here. See how I put my crosshairs on it, and I can actually drag it down. I don't have to repeat that formula. Just drag it all the way down and then let go when you get down to the bottom. And it's going to apply that formula. I mean, if you click on cells below that, you'll be able to see the formula updates with every new cell. Make sure when you type this formula in E2 that you're using those little dollar signs on either side of B and 1 to make your formula work right. And what that means is when you put dollar signs on either side of a cell reference is, you know, you're in column B, you're in row 1, so that's B1. The dollar signs mean use that cell in this formula consistently, no matter the fact that I'm dragging it down. If we didn't do that, then B1 would actually update to a different corresponding cell. So by now, hopefully, dragged it all the way down to E11, and now your sheet should look like this. Now let me show you how these dates update depending on what kind of information, what kind of dates you put in here. So say my pay period actually started on the 1st and not the 23rd. Now, when I hit enter, watch the dates in column E. Look at how they change. You see that? So now the condition about being less than what's in B1 is no longer true. And what do we say about this equation? If it's not true, use today's month, today's year, and the date in F2. That's the date you should put in that cell. And that's exactly what it did, January 1st. But my pay period starts on the 23rd. I hope you found this video really helpful. Maybe this can help you with your future budgeting, or maybe just helps you pick up some extra Microsoft Excel skills. And either way, it was great to explain this to you. I'm so excited to talk about these things. Thanks for watching my video, and I'll talk to you next time.